I'm glad to be here in front of you, brothers and sisters, to talk about this. Um, Next subject we have today, and I was getting started, so you might have seen me uh, rush to organize myself on this occasion. But nonetheless, I'm happy to be here and very happy to talk about the subject that we have today because it is very, very, very important. The subject that we have today. And again, we have to be cognizant of what's going on in our area and in our lives because what we see is a great change of pace. It's happening all around us, but we have to pay attention to how it's happening and what ways it's being seen. Now, if you look at, and I know our subject today because we're going to be talking about Farrakhan, but if you look at Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, you'll see that there's a new generation of racism that's coming up because that's exactly what it is. It's racism. And you have to know that there are many different levels of racism. We're going to talk about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul too. Sometime tomorrow, so that you could see exactly what's going on. And it's very, very important for you to see what's going on and understand what you're fighting against, what you're up against. But understand, we can't understand our past unless we understand our future. There's no way we can understand it. So these short takes, you notice we don't have we're trying to catch up. So we don't have the music with us because it would take up too much time and take up too much of the show that we have. So, but we do need to talk about these situations that we're facing within the Black community. There's a great changing of the guard. That's what I want you to know. The guard is changing. There's a great changing of the guard. And we talked about last time the 4 assassinations in February, right? And actually, there were 5 assassinations of the brothers that were human rights leaders. You had 2 to come out of the Nation of Islam. Then you had 2 to be without the Nation of Islam. Actually, Dr. Khalid Muhammad was in the Nation of Islam at one time before he was ousted, and he was ousted. And then you had, of course, Albert Cleage, Black Christian nationalist, and you also had Huey P. Newton that was killed. He was supposed to be killed in February, but the plans were foiled. And after that, his confrontation with Farrakhan in 1972, Hewitt was supposed to be killed, but the Panthers was on high guard, and they didn't want to be a foreseen government connection, so they moved away from that and went over to Guerrilla, which is another organized association that has some inklings of government tampering and government involvement. Not to say that they are, because the original people are not, but there's always a plant somewhere. And I'm sure you would agree that there's always a plant somewhere. And when you plant something, it's meant to grow. Anytime you plant a seed under the right conditions will come up. Now, just be aware of the soil that the seed is planted in. You have to be aware of the soil that the seed is planted in. So today, brothers and sisters, we're talking about who is Louis X. Farrakhan. Louis X, otherwise known as Farrakhan. He's an agent. We know that in the new Nation of Islam, because the Nation of Islam today is nothing like the Nation of Islam in the past. We have to understand that. If you don't understand that, you're missing it entirely. That's one thing that you have to understand, that the Nation of Islam today is not the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam, as is taught by the Minister Louis Farrakhan. But now when you go to the South, which is the Houston region, then you know that Silas Muhammad is in the Lost Foundation of Islam, is teaching the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That is the Nation of Islam, the original Nation of Islam, and the teachers. But nothing has been changed. Nothing has been changed. You have to understand that. And the Mr. Muhammad's main purpose for being organized was to get Black brothers and sisters and put them in position where they could recapture who they were. He doesn't tell them to use their bootstraps to pick themselves up. What he says is, I'll give you boots and I'll give you the string. I'll show you how to get the string so you can pull yourself up. But you're not asking America to do something for you because you know they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They build this nation on racism. You understand that? White privilege is a system of racism as it relates for whites because the Constitution was created for whites and for the benefit of whites. And you have to understand it was created for whites for the benefit of whites. And for black people, as black people, we got to have a FUBU mentality, which means for us, by us. So we have to create organization for us, for the black man, and create an organization for the benefit of black people. So it has to be for us and it has to be by us. You have to understand that. And if you can't make it FUBU, then it needs to be BUFU, which means by us, for us. Either way, it needs to be controlled by the black man. It has to be controlled by the black man. And we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that. And we need to find black towns, brothers and sisters. We need to find black towns that are almost dead. And we need to start populating these towns and building them back up. Because we got the black people there. We just don't have black business. But you bring black business, you bring black enterprise, and you bring black development, you'll build up those towns. And we're going to talk about that later on. But this is the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And Albert Cleage out of Detroit, Michigan, was very much affected by the teachings of Garveyism and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the teachings of Marcus Garvey. So much so that if you walked in his administration or his church, Shrine of the Black Madonna, you believed that you were right there in the Muslim movement. This is the teaching that he did. It was so very Afrocentric with some changes, but at the same time, it was a lot like the Muslim movement because it was order and it was had an objective and the people were subject to those teachings. So you have to understand that. And he created Shrine of the Black Madonna, as I told you before. He created, he's also killed by the government. He created Beulahville in Calhoun Falls, South Carolina, which is part of the Shrine of the Black Madonna is there in the black community for black people. He also has Shrine of the Black Madonna in New York, Detroit. He also had it in Texas, also had it in Atlanta, Georgia. And these communities that were built around there were for blacks and for the benefit of blacks. So it was a FUBU or BUFU mentality. And we got to have that. If you don't have a FUBU mentality, which is for us, by us, you need to have a BUFU mentality, which is by us, for us. That nonetheless, whichever angle you're coming from, whether it's industrial angle or industrial complex for black people, or it's a business complex for black people, so that you understand the core reason for the organization, core reason for these things is for us and by us, for black people, for the benefit of blacks. You'll never get anywhere, brothers and sisters, if you don't think with that kind of mentality. And we're going to talk about that later on. We're going to talk about the very same thing later on. That we have to have the mentality as black people, you and I, brothers and sisters, you and I have to have the mentality of black people who are creating something for the benefit of black people. It has to be for black people and for the benefit of black people. When you look at the Constitution, I've said over and over and over and over and over again, that when they created things, they created it for whites, for the benefit of whites. And that's how you have white privilege. See, there's nothing wrong with that. The white man should look out for himself. It's you. You're the problem. You don't know how to look out for yourself. You just don't know. Everything you got going, here the white man is busting you all upside your head, busting you all up in your mouth, busting you all upside your mouth, and everything that the man is killing you and hanging you and dragging you and all of that. It can't be denied. Now there's a new generation, the Jake Paul generation, what we're going to call it. And they have the same kind of fierce energy because they have a lot of envy. Because the more and more we approach this century of 22nd century, the more that we approach the 22nd century, you're going to see the fall of the white man's structure. He's already fallen. It's already dead. But the closer that we get, you're going to see the failure and fall. And that's what you got to understand. And black people are living longer. We're getting strong in our age. Mike Tyson is a prophecy and will fulfill a prophecy of age-old prophecy of that we cannot be conquered. And no matter how old we are, if God is for us, I don't care what the handicap, what the condition, or whatever. If God is for us, we will overtake and surmount things that were considered insurmountable odds in the past. But we've got to get these black agents, black devils, and black demons, right, out of our midst. Now, I said that to say this. If you look in the boxing world, you know you had Don King. He looked like us, but he wasn't one of us. Is that right or wrong? He looked like us, but he wasn't one of us. He wasn't one of us. And what you have to understand is this. You have to understand that we've got too many black people that have been used to buying in and selling out. If you look at Jay-Z and Beyonce, they thought that they could buy in. She thinks she can buy in right now with the country music, but she's not somebody that can be trusted in the entertainment industry. She is a turncoat and an agent. Jay-Z is a turncoat and an agent. Rihanna, and also Cardi B. Now there are others. There are others that are turncoats and agents for the government. See, no matter what area you're in, look at Offset. Takeoff was the only one of the Amigos that really had any gift. I'm just gonna be honest with you. But you got an agent. They're putting agents in everything black people create. They're putting these agents in there. And you know, Offset was an agent. He's an agent today. Cardi B is an agent. She's meant to replace Nicki Minaj. See? And all you have to see, God will give you these things if you open up your mind. And when it happened, then you'll see. Same thing I predicted about Ferguson, Missouri, is the very same thing I'm predicting now. I've said it in the past. The thing that you know, there's no way that I could have known. But when you're on God's side, God is on your side, and he will open up your mind. He would open up your heart. Those of you that are Muslims, continue to cover yourselves. Brothers that are Muslim, continue to take the high road, continue to be clean, continue to increase the knowledge of your mind, and iron, continue to sharpen iron. And you have to do and live these lessons like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad suggests. Can't live it like anyone else. You have to live it like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said. And you know I'm going to always read the manuscript, because our history is in these manuscripts. It's in the Bible. You just got to find it. The Holy Bible. You got to find it. Right? Because you always got those of us around you that are trying to mislead you. Jesus was a brother. They try to mislead him. And he came back unto us, didn't he? Yes, he did. He's appearing unto us all the time. Our Savior has come, brothers and sisters. Our Savior has come. And so I want to read this because you don't have to always read the manuscript, so you'll know. This is St. Mark, the chapter 7. We're going a little different this time. St. Mark, the chapter 7, and begin at the first verse. And I want you to see how your own people can try to, because they've been paid, misuse you the other way. The Pharisees have been paid, and they found someone who would play the Judas among the believers, which was Judas betrayed Jesus. Isn't that right? His real name, Jesus' real name is Yahashua Aliyah Asa. Judas' real name is Yadua. And Yadua betrayed Yahashua Aliyah Asa, or the one they called Jesus. Right? The Pharisees, which were blacks among us in the religious sector that had power, betrayed the real social leaders. What happened during the civil rights movement? Right? You had all of these sellouts like Roy Wilkin, right? A. Philip Randolph, right? You had who else? Who else you have? Ralph Abernathy. All of these sellouts. You had, I hate to say it, you had Walter Funtroy and his brother, Jesse Jackson, Billy Cowles, Dick Gregory. They said, oh, you talking about Dick? Oh, yes. Dick Gregory, too. Malcolm didn't trust him. He didn't trust him. All of these sellouts, right? They was coming in trying to sell an idea, right, that looked like freedom. It seemed like freedom, but in the end, it wasn't freedom. And proof of which, one of King's lieutenants, Fred Shuttleworth, and then the other one was can't think of the brother's name now. But these brothers basically came and said that either we've been duped or we are duping ourselves into believing that integration is going to bring us freedom and liberation, because our money and everything else, our influence, was going over to the white community. All our money and our influence were going over to the white community. You had Jose Williams was a true follower of progress and liberation, but they would hardly let him say anything, right? Because he was going to tell the truth. James Baldwin was going to tell the truth. Malcolm X is going to tell the truth. Martin Luther King is going to tell the truth. So they had to get them out of the way. And they left before us all of these sellouts trying to tell the story, right? Trying to persuade people. When you look at St. Mark, the 7th chapter, not going to be before you long, brothers and sisters. The Pharisees, when Yahshua, Leah, the one you call Jesus, rebuked them, right? Then came together, and this is starting at the first verse of the 7th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Mark. So you can find a correlating scripture in Matthew 15, 1 through 22, 1 through 20. So it's saying the same thing. Then came together unto him the Pharisees and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. And when they saw some of his disciples eat bread with defiled, that is to say, unwashed hands, they found fault. For the Pharisees and all of the Jews, except they washed their hands off, eat not, holding the tradition of the elders. This is African. You should know it's African because they're eating with their hands. And when they came from the market, except they wash, they eat not. And many other things there be, which they have received to hold as washing of cups and pots of brazen vessels and of the tables. Then Pharisees and scribes asked him, why walk not thy disciples according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands? And this is what Jesus said to them. He answered and said unto them, well hath Isaiah, or as many of you say Isaiah, prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, this people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrine the commandments of men, for laying aside the commandment of God, ye hold the tradition of men, as the washing of pots and cups, and many others such like things as ye do. And he said unto them, full well have ye rejected the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition. For Moses said, honor thy father and mother, and whosoever curseth father and mother, let him die the death. But ye say, if a man shall say to his father and mother, it is Corban, that is to say, a gift by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, he shall be free. And ye suffer him no more to do aught for his father or his mother, making the word of God of none effect through your conditions which ye have delivered, and many such like things do ye. So imagine that. They won't do the will of God, but they'll make you think that they're interested in doing the will of God. When you look at, and that's these that are among us, leaders that are among us, when you look at Farrakhan, he is not teaching the lesson of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, nor the teaching that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad got from Master Fard Muhammad. But he used their name to control you. You look at him, you know he's not fasting. He can't be because he's overweight. And he's made, every time he turns around now, he's with these Jews. And there's no problem with that. If he want to hang out with these Zionist Jews and hang out with these white pedophiles, right? Catholic Church, Father Flager, no problem with that, but just tell us. You know what I mean? Because we already know. We just don't want you to be a hypocrite. If you're not going to teach the teaching, to live the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, just let us know. Besides, we knew when you put Khalid Muhammad out of the Nation of Islam, you wasn't living it anyway. And Khalid, well, you couldn't go mainstream with a Khalid Muhammad in the Nation of Islam. You couldn't go mainstream with a Malcolm X in the Nation of Islam. And most importantly, you couldn't go mainstream with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam. Because the teachings of the messenger is the teaching that was brought unto him by God, and we do believe it, from the Nation of Islam. We do believe that. We believe that Master Fard Muhammad received and in the person of God, and we received the message through the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to free black people from this hell that we're in. We do believe that. And for that reason, we will live it. And already know that, because I don't understand what the march, I don't understand it. To this day, I don't understand why Farrakhan marched between the feet of two dead men. A dead man named Lincoln and a dead man named Washington. I have no understanding of it right now. Had us standing in front of the water on the ground, right? And had us in front of the obelisk. I don't understand it. With no plan, justice or else. We don't have justice and we don't have nothing else. So brothers and sisters, we got to be wise. We got to be steadfast. We have to be unmovable and always abounding in the work of God. The work of God that Jesus was doing. He was doing the work of God. We have to do the work of God. It's not the work of Farrakhan. You know, they're off their rocker when they're trying to defend Farrakhan. Farrakhan is nothing but an agent for the United States government. All you got to do is see. He's letting white people in the Nation of Islam now. Message to the black man is for the black man. It's not for anyone else. You could take the message and the example out and the blueprint and spread it among the red man, the yellow man, and the brown man. And they could be representatives to their people from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But see, he's such an hypocrite because he wants to be the total voice of these people. He seeks power. He doesn't seek salvation for the red man, the black man, or the brown man, or the yellow man. He seeks to have control and power over us, and the reason is so he can report back to his bosses, same way he did when Khalid Muhammad spoke the speech at King College. Very same thing, just washed it up and put it back in front of you. And you got Nuri Muhammad and Wesley Muhammad, two of the dumbest Muslims in Farrakhan's camp. They have to be. They have to be. To try to defend this man when the man is already admitted himself that he caused the climate, and we know that he helped plan the death too. Khalid Muhammad knew it. Other teachers know it. Jabril Muhammad know it, if you'll be honest. Lance Shabazz knows it. And many other Muslims before knows it. Conrad Tillett, he knows it too. He knows it too. Because and here's the whole thing. Farrakhan was never admitted, but he is an agent for the white administration. He went straight to Bill Clinton. When Khalid Muhammad was supposed to have messed up, he went straight to Bill Clinton. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. You got to get wise, brothers and sisters. We have to be wise and see what's going on in front of us. We have got to see it. Our people are dying. Our people are being killed. Our people are still being harmed. Our people are still being dragged behind trucks. Our children are still being killed by cops, right? Crooked cops. Because I'm not saying all the cops are crooked, but the crooked ones are still killing our people, and we have to be wise. We got to train our children to be respectful for authority so they won't be in a situation to be killed. because there's a time for all. But wisdom would teach us that, and wisdom can't teach us that if we're not teaching our children wisdom. I hope you understand me, brothers and sisters. And I hope you can appreciate what I'm saying. I hope you can appreciate it, because a lot of the things that I'm seeing lately is our children being too trusting. Being too trusting from no training from the parents. And this is how they're putting themselves in situations to be killed by white friends, white associates. This is how they're putting themselves in situations to be killed by the white police. And we just they have to understand that right now, it's just good not to trust any white people enough to be alone with them. And I say that to say this, for all of those that say that, not every white man is bad. I say this, and then when I say this, I'm going to clear up so we can get ready to get on, because we got another short show to do, another short talk, and then we'll be on schedule. So I want to say this. If there was 1 million bees in the middle of 1 billion bees that's coming for you, and there were people on the sideline that had bee uniforms on, and they told you, listen, you don't have to run. One thing should strike your attention, that they got bee uniforms on. This swarm of bees is coming for you while you're out of your mind to stay there. Brothers and sisters, you're out of your mind to stay there. You should be running as fast as you can and finding the deepest pond that you can find to dive in that pond so you could miss the bee attack. Find you a smoke stack so you can be in the smoke. Smoke turn bees away. Or any place you can get. If you can get on the inside to stop these bees from stinging you. For you to stand there, you'll be out of your mind. So I say that to say this. You may say every white person isn't racist. You may say that. And I might agree with you. But if you had 1 billion bees, and in the middle of that 1 billion bees was 1 million bees that may not have stingers, while you'll be out of your mind to wait there to hope that they don't sting you. Well, you know that more than likely a bee is born with a stinger, and if he come in contact with you, he will sting you, or she will sting you. You have to understand that. You have to understand that. Take a lesson. Get the honey that the bees offer and get away. Right? Get the honey from the beehive, but you ain't got to deal with the bee to do that. You can do that for yourself. You can do that for yourself. So you may say, not all of them are bad. I'm not willing to bet my life on that. You shouldn't be willing to bet your life on it either. That's all I'm saying. Keep yourself safe. And to the average mind, they say, well, he's racist. This sounds like racism. Not racism, it's self-preservation. White man is preserving himself every day. That's why he uses you. He'll use whatever dummy that'll let him use him. He'll use you to get over what he's trying to do. But I'm smarter than you. I already know better. And it's safer for me, right, to not trust. So, brothers and sisters, that's all I have for you today. I'm going to leave now. Thank you for those that are watching. Thanks for those that will watch. And if I didn't say it in the beginning, I say to you now, peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you, brothers and sisters.